after the abstract, now we come to the introduction. So, you have to, before you start writing this, you have to understand why are you doing this? What is the purpose of the introduction? The purpose of your introduction is to first set the context, your clinical problem, that this is the clinical scenario right now, and then highlight the gap in the knowledge. What exactly are you trying to find out about? So highlight that gap, and then set your rationale, state your rationale and the objective of your study. Okay, what is your study exactly about? Okay, what you want to find out, what the gap is and what you're trying to find out about it. And then you end with a clear hypothesis. So this is the way the introduction has to be done. So there is a proper structure to how you have to do this. So I'm talking about, see, this is a study which I just took out, which was in the Spine Journal by Dr. Vaccaro. On, he's talking about surgical versus non-surgical treatment of thoracolumbar burst fractures in neurologically intact patients. So he is very specifically said that this is a cost-utility analysis only. So we starts with the structure or of the introduction, where there is a first point is a broad background or the epidemiology of the study, okay, what this is about. So he's talking about how thoracolumbar fractures are present, how many of these they get about 160,000 a year, etc. So this is just a broad background of the study. Then you go on to the specific research gap. Now he has talked about there are studies have shown that it is inconclusive whether we can treat them surgically or non-surgically. And so this is what is the research gap here. Okay, we don't know what is better. And then he goes on to his clinical, there's a rationale or a clinical importance to why this study is being performed. And then his objective. So his objective here, he is mentioned very clearly in the last paragraph, is that he wants to find out the cost-benefit ratio of doing a conservative versus a surgical treatment. So this is how you structure your introduction. And if you follow this structure, then it becomes much more standardized, sophisticated, and it becomes easy for the person to read it. And he's able to follow this very easily rather than just going on with a story here. What are the mistakes that one makes in your introductions? The mistakes are that, it becomes very lengthy, unfocused. Now, if he's talking about a particular topic, rather than talking about what they are trying to study, he will be talking all around, going into the history and, all different types of complications, etc. And then repeating your results, repeating the findings of other things again and again is all not required. A lack of a clear aim that, you have to know what your study is about, and that has to be very specific. So if you give a specific aim of your study, it becomes much more readily acceptable, and there's a higher chance of it getting published. And then, sometimes we try to use jargon, or, you try to use extra fancy scientific words just to get the attention. It doesn't work because they know what you're trying to do. The readers, the reviewers know what you're trying to do. So once you have your introduction after your results, the next point which I'm talking about is your discussion. What is the purpose of your discussion? The discussion is to first interpret your main findings. You have already got your results. Now you have to interpret them. After you interpret what you've got your results on, then you have to compare it with literature, and then you explore its clinical implications. After you know, okay, these are my findings, this is what the other literature says, and now this is what I come to. Okay, this actually means that this is what has to be done. The next thing is that there will always be limitations in your study. So you have to acknowledge your limitations and maybe also give some future directions as to how you can take this research further in the future. That would give you a very good discussion. So in your discussion, you start with your key findings. Okay, what are your key findings which the result has given, but just the most important one. Don't repeat it again and again. And then you compare it with your previous study. So like what he has done here is that he has given a key finding that over 2 years' time, the cost of conservative management was actually $28,978.5 more than conservative management. And why? Because of the higher quality of daily life and earlier return to work, etc. Now, what is the clinical significance of this also has been mentioned. Okay, if you operate on them, they are getting back to work faster, etc. The next is your limitations. So you have to be very clear and very open and frank about your limitations. The aim of your discussion is not to impress the reviewer with how good your study is, but to be very frank and open about it and say what the limitations are and how it could be maybe improved in the future, and then end with a clear take-home message. So if you follow this, this makes it a complete proper discussion. The common mistakes are that, people try to repeat the results again. Whatever results have been mentioned, they try to repeat the same results again in the discussion, which is not necessary. Overstating the significance. We have a habit of overstating or exaggerating our results, especially in meetings. Okay, this is far better than this. This is the way to go. There's nothing else. And these kind of statements have to be avoided in scientific papers. You have to be magnanimous. You have to understand that there are various ways of doing it, and what you're doing has got this advantage, but these limitations are there as well. Trying to write a paper without giving those, there are certain papers which will go contrary to what you're saying, and if you ignore those findings, it makes your paper weaker, and you should acknowledge what you are doing. And giving very vague or very weak conclusions is to be avoided. So our take-home message here is that if you understand how your introduction and your discussion has to be done, then you will be able to make a very good paper, and that increases your chances of publication. Your introduction answers why you are doing this study, and your discussion will answer, so what now that we have got these results, so what is the next thing? So if we combine all this, this is the best way to go forward. Thank you.